let's show everybody what this looks like underneath.
We've got our lines.
There is quite a large gap that goes around. We did dial in the ride height a little bit here. EP.
Welcome back to our nostalgia-built EG Civic sedan, and today's episode is in paid partnership with BetterHelp, and we're going to move on to suspension and brakes today and really give you the big payoff at the end of a wheel and tire choice, and we have a whole menu here for you to consider. But before we dive into all the wrenching action, we want to share this important message from the paid partner of today's episode, BetterHelp. We are genuinely excited about this one because YouTuber burnout is a real thing that Pete and I have both grappled with over the last 10 years. And we're pretty sure that no matter what profession you've chosen, it may well come with an unhealthy dose of stress and anxiety. Add in the difficulties that can arise from personal relationships, starting a family, or finishing your project car, and life can start to feel pretty overwhelming, and that's where BetterHelp comes in. With guided help from a trained mental health professional who is there to listen without judgment, ask questions, and help you see things from a new perspective, BetterHelp will connect you with a therapist that can provide insights and teach techniques to manage emotions, reduce stress, and help you start to make positive changes in your life. We also think it's important to acknowledge that in the male-dominated world of building modified cars, that we're not openly encouraged to discuss mental health, but Pete and I can both testify to the fact that therapy is really helpful for both problem solving and personal growth. I don't mind sharing that I struggled for years with coming to terms with the fact that my two sons are on the severe end of the autism spectrum. I didn't feel particularly well equipped to be the father of two special needs kids, but thanks to the help of a therapist, I was able to fully embrace the challenge and the personal growth and discovery opportunities that being the dad of special needs kids has provided me. Thanks to BetterHelp, who are on a mission to make starting therapy easier, you can take action to work on your own mental health with one of their well-qualified therapists. And if your first therapist doesn't feel like a good fit, you can easily switch until you find one that you connect with. Starting therapy is easy with BetterHelp. All you have to do is fill out an online application and you'll usually be matched with a therapist within a couple of days. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform you can trust. So if you're struggling and think you'd benefit from a therapy session, then go to the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/speedacademy to get 10% off your first month of therapy. This is the part of the video where we would strip everything off here and replace it with all like new adjustable fancy things, but we've inspected this car and everything is in such good shape. Every bushing, every ball joint, it's all amazingly like new. It's kind of shocking. We're gonna behave like 20-year-olds who are ballers on a budget and are trying to build a car in a way that's financially responsible and just change the things that need to be changed. And the only thing up front that really needs to be changed is the upper control arm because we need camber adjustability because we're obviously going to lower this car because stock ride height, kids, that ain't cool. And because we've shown you coilover installs a million times before, why don't we just get these on there as fast as we can with one of these. And there you have it, coilover's in place. And big thanks to Garage 16 for supplying these. Head to garage16.ca and use code SA10 for 10% off at checkout. However, since this is a B-Series car now, we cannot reuse the original D-Series drive shafts, so we sourced some brand new B-Series shafts from PartSource. These are not OE axles, and on a track car, I would say go find yourself some OE axles. On a street car like this, I think aftermarket ones should be just fine. So pretty simple to pop it into the transmission here, and then we'll get it into the back of the hub. We do have a tiny bit of corrosion on the threads in the hub here, so I'm just gonna hit it with some fluid film to help get the axle to slide into place and to prevent any more corrosion from forming. So the uses for fluid film, Peter, there's like 1,000,001 uses. Someday we should make a video, just like 1,000,001 uses of fluid film and just go buck wild, but this stuff literally does it all. And that's a wrap on the suspension on the front here, guys. I'm just gonna give the axle nut a quick hit on setting number 2 on our Milwaukee gun, which very conveniently goes to pretty much exactly what we need for the OE torque spec. It stops at the correct spec too, which is nice. A very handy tool to have. And as for brakes, I think I mentioned off the top, we were gonna do the brakes, but you know what? These rotors and pads are basically brand new, so we're just gonna leave them as is.
Now, before I go pulling the rear suspension off here, I just wanted to show you guys, look at this pile of mud that is on here. I almost don't want to take it off. The downside though, DP, is moisture could get in there and build up. So
I think it's gotta come off.
Maybe I do need to take it off. So let's show everybody what this looks like underneath, but like, look, it's almost like it kept everything intact. Like, look at this. Look at this.
Yeah.
It's just got like a little bit of surface rust, but that's it. We'll give this a spray of fluid film to just, you know, make sure that it lasts, but look at the layers of dirt. It fully is like an archaeology experiment. Look at it. You can see how it just like built up over the years. But wow, it is remarkable how clean this thing is. And bushings in the back are pretty much all good except the rear trailing arm bushing. And that one we're going to replace because they always fail. Even, you know, for a low mileage car, I think what, like 160K on this or 100,000 miles, this is pretty torn. So typically we would take this whole arm out of the car and then put this on a press and press it out. However, I found this beautiful setup on Amazon for what I think was $50. And for $50, it is worth putting in your arsenal, especially if you work on Hondas. Got the tool in place here, and now it's just a matter of pressing this through. And you can see on a car such as this, where there's no rust, this does come out super easy. I was hoping I could catch it and hold on to it, but no. There you go though, look at this. I have not seen one of these in this kind of condition. No rust, none. And you can see we are going with the Hard Race hardened rubber one. This one is actually a real great upgrade because this bushing is basically like your single most compliant bushing in the rear here, where it provides the most amount of flex. So having this is going to be a, I think, worthy upgrade. And this of course is sourced from our friends over at Stage 4 Motorsports. The one thing that you need to look out for is how deep you go with this bushing. You just want it to stick out just a hair. I just confirmed on the other side. So you can go back and forth and kind of check it. But I think at this point, I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be with it. So this is certainly worth the $50 that I spent on. Like I said, you could try to do this in a press, but then you got to take the whole arm off. Like, we didn't even disconnect the brakes on here. The only other arm we are replacing is this one up here, which is for camber, because we just don't know. The wheel fitment might be perfect, but if it isn't, we can adjust it. So, and I know some of you are gonna ask, what is going on with these drum brakes? When I was 20 years old, guess what I was running in the back? Drums. One of my first Hondas was an EF and it had a drum setup. And the only thing I did was I painted these yellow.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, that was the thing back then, is if you were broke, you painted them yellow because that was the only way to make them look cool. We will not be doing that just yet. Maybe we will in a future episode if we decide to go crazy with this car. Make it real 90s.
Deep 90s.
That's stuff. Right. Yeah, maybe we'll find like a Arabuni body kit or like a Wings West body kit for this thing. Paint this yellow, put some graphics on this.
Oh yeah. Our last mechanical upgrade is the shifter. We just pulled out this OE shifter, which is out of the GSR. And you can see not only is it badly corroded, but the bushing here, this one actually doesn't look terrible, but typically that will be quite badly degraded and puts a lot of slop in it. But I do recall that the shifter did feel quite sloppy, and that's because the shifter lever here sits in a ball, and that plastic ball that it sits in degrades over time, and it leaves it with like up and down and even a bit of side to side play, which this has, which just doesn't give you good shifter feel. So to address that, just swapping things between my legs here, we are going with K-Tune's B-Series shifter, and it obviously has a ton of adjustability. You can see here, you can adjust the height of the shift knob, but it also has this little window in here with a number in it, and that tells you the distance of the throw itself. So you can adjust how much of a short shifter it is, as well as the height of the shift knob, and you can even clock this so that this offset or bend here is either oriented toward you or away from you, however you want to orient it to put the shift knob exactly where you want it. And best of all, it has a spherical bearing down here and a Delrin bushing in the bottom of the ball here. So it's going to have a really nice smooth shifting feel and no play in it at all. So it just improves the shifter feel tremendously. So even though this is a nostalgic build and this isn't really a nostalgic part, it's just such a key feature to enjoying a B series transmission. In our opinion, it's worth doing. As you can see, we've got our K-tune shifter in place here, and man, it feels so good. All that slop is gone. It feels like it's directly attached to the gearbox. The throws are nice and short, but not too short, where it starts to feel like higher effort.
When Dave and I originally dreamed up this build, we had more of a touring car vibe, more of like a JGTC vibe going on, and that's when I sourced this spoiler here, this front lip, you can say, and as you can see, it's pretty aggressive.
Look at that splitter.
An eBay lip. It's not necessarily period correct, so I don't love it because of that, because I think everybody was running like the Mugen knockoff front lips back then with like the two little vents here. And I thought about sourcing that, but then I thought, you know what, let's try to be, I think, a little bit original. Once you guys see what we've got for the rear, I think this is going to really look good. And only the finest of self-tapping screws for this thing right here. And it fits great. It always blows me away how well these $60 lips fit. It's pretty aggressive, DP. I think it's gonna look real cool. So for a wing in the rear, we thought long and hard. We looked at a ton of options, and there are a lot of different styles out there for Civics. At first I was thinking maybe we would just do like the super style wing, which is kind of, you know, the rainbow style, but it didn't really match, I think, the theme of the build. And we ultimately settled on what was, you know, early 2000s JGTC style, a wing like this. So I think the plan of action is to basically give this a bit of an outline so we have an idea as to where it's gonna go. And you can see the gap between here and here is what I'm going off of. So I feel like it's pretty even at this point. I got the paint marker out. What we'll do is we'll go around the holes here, and hopefully that will leave an imprint on our masking tape there so we know where to drill. Let's see if this works. We'll line this up. Put it down. Oh, let's see, I messed this one up here. Okay. Push down on it, and let's see if we've got our lines. Well, there you go. This side worked out really well. This side, close enough. I can draw that in, and we'll be ready to rip some sheet metal here. I don't want to cut this trunk, but we're sending it. All the bolt holes are now drilled, and I put a little bit of foam here for that OEM touch. So it's not going to be
for water too.
Well,
right?
yeah. I mean, do you? It's a Civic.
Come on now.
The Civic's never going to see rain again, DP. This is now the show cars. So the trouble I'm going to run into is trying to get these bolts in place. I think this is going to be a two-man job, DP.
All right.
Just tightening up the last bolt here, and there it is. Look at that wing. Ooh, baby.
Man.
She's looking good. A little flimsy, but that's what you would expect with an eBay wing and a trunk that is literally sheet metal. So, but it's on there. I think it's tight. I like it. Our final cosmetic mod is a set of spoon style mirrors, paint matched, that are going to add all the aero, get rid of these, you know, round, large, protruding mirrors that do nothing for aero. This is certainly the way to go. And wow, these things, DP.
They look good.
They're good. They look good. All of a sudden, this thing looks like it's a
ready for the
it's a race car. My goodness.
Yeah.
And I did forget about one of the last things we wanted to do, and that is a set of headlights. These are period correct Denji headlights from way back in the day. Now, they look really cool on white cars, black cars, red cars. I don't know how they're gonna look on a green car, but these lights aren't hard to remove, so let's do a quick swap and see what these actually look like. So you learn something new every day here. I thought I knew it all about the EGs, but these came with our EG hatchback, and as you can see when I install the corner light here, there is quite a large gap that goes around, and I suspect that is because the corner lights on sedans must have been different. And this is it right here, and you can see there is, like, the shape of it is significantly different, and look at the length of it. It's way longer.
I thought they were all the same.
I don't really want to put in this back in here because I feel like it doesn't give us a good representation of what this would possibly look like. You can see that just looks no good. So let's just put this in here, even though it's ill-fitting, and we can get at least a sense of what the light looks like on here, because I don't know, DP, I don't mind it.
I kind of like it.
Yeah,
it's aggressive.
It looks pretty cool. I certainly, with the black down here, I think it matches. So I'm digging it. I just need to find a proper corner light. But for now, we'll leave the OE lights in, and if these arrive in time, then we'll put these back in. I didn't realize we had these, but they were tucked away. I think I sourced these a long time ago from Luke over at Clean Street. He had a sedan come in with these, and I thought they might be better looking than the orange. They do need a quick buff and polish, so we'll do that. They certainly, I think, look good. The only complaint that Dave and I have about them is, you can see these are the ones that came off the car. This is OEM. It's got like a nice bright red, like a deep red, where this is more of a faded red. And I don't know if that's just because it's cheap aftermarket or it's got 20 years of sunshine that has been exposed on it. We all know red is the first color to kind of like fade. And here they are, a vintage set of Koenig Villains. Fun fact, this was the first wheel I ever purchased. I think it was like 1997 for my Plymouth Laser, so 1G DSM. And man, this brings me way back. These are a 16x7 plus 40. We had Stripping Tech refinish them. I found them locally on like Facebook Marketplace, and when I saw the ad, I thought, wow, that is nostalgia as good as it gets. So we purchased them, and here we are, and I think they're gonna look super cool on this car. For tires, we have gone with the very best summer tire that we think is out there, which is the Extreme Contact Sport 02. This is our preferred choice for a summer tire, 340 tread wear. Great on the track, low noise on the street, great in the rain, and can I just say, they look pretty awesome too. So 16-year-old PT would have loved a set of Continentals back then, but I didn't have the money to buy that stuff. I was buying used junk, and now I know most important thing on a car is your tire, everybody. So if you're going to be spending money on something, certainly spend it on a set of tires. We did dial in the ride height a little bit here, and oh, this looks so good. By the way, these are a 205 45 16 tires, so good fitment on the 7-inch rim, and wow, wowzer. We got a little bit of tuck in the back, nice and low up front here. I think we're pretty good. So without further ado, I think it's time we put this thing on the ground and show you some beauties.
This thing really does have JTCC vibes, or at least it's starting to. It needs to maybe be lower. You know, it should be tucking tire to be touring car cool, but it is very cool for a street car in my opinion. I really like the way the front lip and the rear spoiler kind of tie it all together. And these Koenig Villains, PT, what a cool wheel. I don't think I've ever seen them before, but the fact that you had a set back in the day and we have a set now, I think that's a pretty cool thing. However, I do have a couple of other wheel options I think we should play around with, if not just for our entertainment, because these things I think are a winner. You guys, but I do like the look of a white wheel on this color. It looks pretty cool. These are of course Buddy Club P1 Racings, and These aren't the vintage version of that wheel. The vintage version, the spokes came out more to the lip here, and these tuck in more toward the barrel. So it's not really a period correct wheel per se, but I think a very fitting wheel on an EG nevertheless.
The offset's a little aggressive, I think, too, for period correctness.
True, that is true. These are 15 by 8 plus 35, I think, with a stretch 205 on there. Pretty beefy looking setup. I do like the look of 15s typically on Golden Era Hondas, but I'm gonna say something about the 16s with less sidewall, a bit of a narrower look, does have more of that like classic Japanese touring car look to it. And here we have contestant number 3, this set of 15-inch Enki, and I don't know what model they are, so let us know below if you know what model these are. We're thinking they're like a 90s, maybe early 2000s circa wheel because they're only a 6.5 inch wide, 15 by 6.5 wide, with a big old meaty 205 50-15 on there, and they look cool. I mean, they do have a vintage correct vibe for the car, but I gotta say the 16s for me are a clear winner. I just like the smaller sidewall, the really sleek, simple design of that 5-spoke Koenig. I just think it's the way to go.
Inside here, we are going to replace the steering wheel and the cluster, and this to me is Honda at its finest. Look at the way this comes out of here, like how smart. This is pre-airbag stuff, so obviously they can't do this these days, but this was so neat. You pop the logo out. This is actually a metal piece, which is really cool. And then to remove the steering wheel, oh, I have a 17, 19, off like that. And this whole thing just slides off. Look at that, that is just so cool. And I realize, wow, we're not even gonna have to make any type of adjustment for a horn because this already has, look at this little horn tab right here. So we can just put the aftermarket piece on here. So before I put the steering wheel back on, we are gonna replace the cluster because as you can see, this one doesn't have a tack and we want this to see this engine scream to 8,000 RPM. However, taking off this trim piece on any Honda is usually like a 2-minute job because it's been off 1,000 times and you just like pull on it and it pops off. This one has never been apart before. That's how mint this car is. Like, I don't think much of this interior has ever been touched or molested. And I just was able to pop this side off, but this clip on here, on this side, there's a clip here and it's like still holding on. Like it is on here so tight. You can see, oh, I don't wanna break it, DP.
Yeah.
A couple more pry tools. I feel like I'm getting there.
Full surgery.
Wow, indeed. This is on. Yes, there it is. Oh no, I know that sound.
Oh,
that's one of the metal clips falling off.
Yeah.
Oh, so good though. That metal clip I think has gone into the full abyss.
Into the dash.
Sounded like it went down deep, but wow, you can see it's just like there's not even that much holding this in place.
No.
But it's just these clips. So we lost one clip here, this guy right here. Huge shout out to Luke over at Clean Street. He managed to source one of these clusters for us. And I believe this is a EG Civic SIR cluster from Japan. You can see the red line on this thing's like 80, I don't know, let's just say 82, 8300, which would mean it's a B16 engine. So if I am not mistaken, it is that. If I am, certainly post in the comments and let me know what it is. And this is the beauty of it. This was a Civic in Japan that had this cluster, and look, it just swaps right over. Everything plugs in and is going to work as is. And of course, the white, well, this was, every kid wanted this cluster back in the day in the 2000s. Like, look how cool that looks. For a steering wheel, we are going with the classic timeless design of the Momo Monte Carlo. Whether it's the year 2000 or 2024, this is my go-to wheel. I love this design. I don't think there is a better street wheel out there from an affordability standpoint, from a looks, from a design. And big thanks to the boys over at Garage 16 who hooked us up with the hub and the wheel here. And as you can see, we have one wire to run. This is gonna be a super simple install. And it works like a charm. Let's drop this in here. This is probably gonna take me longer than hooking up the wires, making sure that this Momo centered. There we go. Oh yeah, look at that, man. How nice is that? Look at it, and it's just like the perfect size and everything. Like with this setup, with the K-Tune shifter, oh, this is gonna be so good. We're gonna be watching this tack rip 8,000 RPM, hell yeah. Well guys, I hope you are enjoying this episode, but sadly, it is a wrap, and we will be back in the next one, taking this thing for the all-important test drive and a dyno to see what kind of power we can make. And for those of you that have stuck to the very end here, let me just fire this thing up and pull it around so you can hear this thing run and go. So, BP,
Won't go in gear?
what is going on? Clutch is in, look, a pump.
Oh, weird, but you can see it's trying to roll away on you when you're trying to put it in gear.
Yeah, oh man. That is not good, but
No.
look,
And when you shut it off, it will go through the gears.
goes through all of the gears. Let's reverse, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, now it won't go into fifth. Oh, there it goes. Well,
Something is up.
something is up, which is not good. And we also have a check engine light, so stay tuned for the next one, guys. Thanks for hanging out here in the end, and we've got some things to fix.